to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes, and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. The man.
I'm not going to say it's another wonderful Friday afternoon. It clearly is not. The mere fact that we are starting the real issues so late means that something less than wonderful, not so wonderful, has been taking place. It's not any human fault, it's the machines, Remember that movie Terminator, Rise of the Machines? I think, the machines are having a mind of their own, or maybe it is the sudden onset of some very heavy, almost violent showers, that we had a little earlier on. Imagine coming out of my house. I stood by my gate about 2 feet away from my vehicle, and I couldn't get to the vehicle because it was raining so forcefully. When finally it became a little less, I still got sprinkled just getting across that 2 feet from where I was to the vehicle. So maybe the rain drove, some water into some joints and into some contacts and into some electrical wires and electronic components. I don't know, but there was a problem, and Jaquan and Nigel, our station manager, came over to try to help, but I tell you, Bagayla just pack our koi. When we thought we had it, it went down again. We had to work on it again, but finally they've gotten it. So we apologize, real issues people, for the late start. We really wish we could have done better. We could have done differently, but in the situation, we absolutely could not. This is our final program for the week. I hope you had a good Emancipation Day yesterday, and I hope it has laid the basis for you to be optimistic about having a wonderful weekend, a safe one, an enjoyable one, a relaxing one, a productive one, and everything one except the things which are undesirable, such as crime. And it is impossible. I have a guest in the studio with me. It's impossible for me to just, even if we have started late, to not mention something about this. I mean, we have had the killings, the shootings. They're nothing new in our country. But when we hear of lives being taken at such young ages, we talk about teenagers. That's when you enter the numbers that end with teen, 13, 14, 15. And we're talking about a youngster, a boy, who has just transitioned into his teen years, 13, being shot, not on the street, not on the playing field, but we are being told inside his own home. Is that what I got that right? Inside his own home. Details are still sketchy. I suppose law enforcement, family, neighbors, community are all still trying to wrap their minds around it. That a 13-year-old inside his own home, gunman or gunmen enter, likely looking for someone else, some other member of the family, and he ends up being fatally shot. Of course, this is not the youngest age that would shock and stun us. Remember last year during that whole episode of escalated crime area that engulfed and enveloped the southern town of Vieux-Fort, a 2-year-old, among others, a 2-year-old was shot. And not just, you would say, once by accident, stray bullet. His grandmother was slain. I think she got about 8. But a 2-year-old baby, and you could see the way he was lying face down with his head pointing towards the bed, the underside of the bed, that maybe he was just trying to go and hide under the bed. Maybe his grandmother had time to tell him, go under the bed, go under the bed. 4 shots. 4 shots on a 2-year-old. And that is why I tell you, at that point, my hope went down a lot about whether we would be able to put a handle on this surge in violent crime, on this explosion in violent crime, because who will ever think, well, like they say, c'est pas pièce bon l'idée qui ka vin en da tête ou, le on moun chwe on ti mamay de l'année. I don't know if there's any connection. There was a time when I think near the playing field in Angers or Derry or whatever, there was some shooting incident. And it turned out it was people who came from Vieux-Fort. It was said to come and confront people in Derry, so they had problem with. There was a fatality there, 1 or 2, I can't even remember. Somebody was shot just by a shop or something in the area and so on. We're hearing about people waiting for man to come and pick up his child at a daycare and waiting for him to fire shots and to gun him down. It's like they have no selection in the place. They don't care if they are seen, if they will be recognized, whatever. So you never know what is revenge. You never know if that 13-year-old was shot because of some connection, because people, nowadays everybody know everything, but the police don't seem to be knowing or getting the information that it is because of this that they shot that, and it is revenge for this and retaliation for this. There seems to be an intelligence that is on the ground, or maybe it's just people pretending to know and talking glibly about things about which they don't really know anything, and that is becoming a problem. But I will repeat what I've said many times, and maybe you have become tired of hearing me say it. If we are going to make a dent in crime, I know the police and the resources and all are stretched, and you might say you can't go chasing after every little shadow and everything. You have to let some things pass. Maybe that is true. But let me tell you what my theory about it is. The pinnacle of lawlessness is bloodshed, taking another human life. And that is why down through the millennia of human existence, it has been considered such a serious thing that it is the primary capital offense, the one for which you most likely and more than any other can be executed, can be hanged, can be sent to the gas chamber, lethal injection, electric chair, whatever. That the taking of another life deliberately and so on is considered to be something worthy of having your own life taken, or if not your life taken, to be put away, incarcerated, to lose your freedom for life. There is nothing that rises above that. Yes, we can have it compounded by mass murder and serial murder and so on. But we still have enough decency enough to consider the taking of a human life, the violating of the sanctity of life across cultures. It doesn't matter whether you are Hindu. In India, they will hang you for it. It doesn't matter. Across cultures, if they don't actually take your life, they will take away your life in the sense of your freedom and so on. And so anybody who has reached the stage where they commit bloodshed, where they take somebody else's life, every other crime or act of lawlessness that they can commit is likely to be deemed as a lesser evil than that. And so somebody who was killed and somebody who's going to be concerned about obeying the traffic laws, then somebody who's going to be concerned about littering and about this kind of thing. Man, come on, you've reached the top of the ladder already in terms of violations that you can commit against humanity, against another human being. That is why I keep saying, when you see people committing what you may consider to be lesser forms of law breaking, intercept them, interdict them, check on them. You never know this guy who's driving in the opposite direction on a one-way street, rather than going down Miku Street towards, from the cathedral, or from, Ave Maria School, and you're going down towards, the Derek Walcott Square, but you're coming in the other direction because you're bad. You don't care. Sometimes this person is like that because they have already pushed the boundary beyond that. So doing those things, it don't mean squat to them because they have gone beyond that boundary already. You never know. When you intercept, when you pull up those people, in the course of pulling them up, you never know what you are netting. You may be netting a killer. That doing those things, it means nothing to him because he has gone to what you consider the ultimate in killing people. check on those people who are breaking the law in what we may consider to be lesser forms, in lesser severity, because it may be that they are emboldened to do those things of lesser severity, we think, because their mind has already gone to the top. What's that country and western song? Was it George Strait or whatever? There's nothing better once you've had the best. Likewise, there is nothing that is worse when you have already committed the worst. Everything else is smaller, is small potatoes for you. You will burn somebody's house because you kill people already. Like we say in our Creole, I don't know how much it is, Ujani limien, Ujani modition, Ujani jion akou. You know, you have all this thing. So taking somebody's life, once you have done it, your mind has already flipped over an edge and you can do anything else. So buzz them where you can buzz them on the smaller things, including the way they behave in the traffic and the way they behave when there is a block or something, whatever they do and so on. Buzz them, because in the course of interrogation, in the course of patting them down, in the course of checking their records and their rap sheet and so on, there may be something that will lead you to other things. The only zero tolerance we can have is zero tolerance against all forms of criminality and antisocial behavior. Go after them anywhere you can get them, because in going after them on what seems an almost insignificant thing, you may open a whole gateway of significance in terms of what they're doing. You hear me what I tell you? You hear me? We have to stop considering some things not worth pursuing. Go after them. Any man who has pushed himself to the level where he can callously take a human life is someone severely jabouilé, messieurs. C'est un monde qui pas ni pièce qualité, hesitation, no compunction, you know. They're not going to stop and think about it because they have already gone the furthest extent that the human mind can go to watch somebody, a child, whatever, and blow them away. What is it that they will not do? So check on them in those things. Please, you just make that something bigger than the dimension in which you have accosted that person. Enough said on that. People, there's a gentleman who promised to come on today's program, not the one who's here with me. I was kind of doubtful whether he would come, whether he was looking for some personal redress. He claims to have been fired from a public sector project that he was working on. And his story is that he was fired because the way things were being done, he could tell, because of his long experience working in those things, that something was not done right. And so he said he used to point it out and complain to them because he was the one on the ground to actually implement what was being done. You know. I had no way. I tried to call the company that fired him. Told me he was fired. And he was fired because he called somebody higher up, not the top person working, but somebody who was either the project or consultant, you know, the project manager or consultant, whatever on the project, to tell him, look, this design or whatever specs you have given us, they do not align with what is on the ground. Where you tell us to put this 4 inches high, whatever the side wall cannot take it. Where you tell us to cause this drain to throw the water away, it does not align with where your aqueduct is, and a whole lot of different things. I can remember them. Technical by Tetma by HBC by sir. And he said the project manager or consultant that he called, bypassing his own management to call, took offense and said, "Why are you calling me? You should not call me. You have no business to call me." This gentleman who was fired told me that he found this strange because many times that project manager or consultant, if he had some query or something he wanted done, he would call him directly. He wouldn't call through his manager of his employer and say, "Okay, can you tell Shelton I want him to do this, to break this wall and do this." He said he would never. He would call him directly and he would go ahead and carry out the instructions. Maybe that's why he made a mistake. Maybe he should have told the guy, whatever instructions you want to give me as the project manager or consultant, route it through my immediate superior, my own manager, whatever. So he said they had this kind of relationship. And he thought he could have called the guy and told him, "Look, what you are doing there is not right, because even as someone was worked in this thing for 30 years, I can tell you that I can see it's not going to work, and it's not working, and it is causing a slowdown because we have to go back and correct. He told me he cannot say for sure that that is why. But he had barely put down the phone when this guy called him and told him, you know, don't call me, and now you have no right to do that. Then the manager of the company he's working for on this public construction project calls him and told him he's firing him, because he had no right to call the project manager or the consultant, whatever. He had to go through him and so on. I said, did he give you a letter? No. The other thing is considered about the man fired him, and the man has not paid him and has not given him any indication of when he's going to get paid. A week later, he can't get paid. Now, I believe it is generally accepted that if you're going to fire a man on the spot, you better make sure that when he walks out the door, that he's holding his check. You know, you should have had it prepared. Or at least if it's by direct deposit, that when he goes to the bank, that deposit is already there, at least within 24 whatever hours. So he can't get his money. He don't know when he's going to get paid, if he's going to get paid. He does not have any letter that he can refer to and say you were fired for this reason. It's a word of mouth kind of firing, simply because. I called someone else who happens to know much about the project, and it was even more disturbing because it suggests to me that somehow in the setting up of that project, in the financing of it, if the administration of it, that the same person who is the consultant, I'm just using this term, it's not this term there. Let us say the same person who is, let's use an engineering since it's construction we're talking about. That the same person who is the consultant engineer is the same person who's the project engineer. Now, for a project of that magnitude, I found that kind of weird. Because if you have the same person who's consultant being the project engineer, the person responsible for the implementation, where is the dividing wall between the functionary and the gatekeeper? When the very person who's the functionary is also the gatekeeper. So the person now has to be reporting to himself. The person basically has to be reviewing his own work. And will anybody who has to review his own work ever give himself a failing grade? Will he ever give himself to say, oh, I didn't do too well on that? You know? Where are the checks and balances in such a situation? We need to watch those things. Letting people have too much power or giving people too much self-reporting space because they manage to maneuver themselves, whether because they underbid everybody else, or everybody else was saying, give me 1.5 million, and this one said, okay, I'll do it for 900,000, that they may have underbid everybody else and gotten it. We have to be very careful of those things. That may not be what it is, you know. I double-checked, and I called the manager who fired the man, and I said, look, this man has contacted me and said XYZ ABC. I'm just asking you, is there any truth in it? Whatever. Well, he dug in his heels immediately. You know, this way some people, once it's media, you know, they put up that wall of defense. I have no comment to make. I'm not making any comment, nothing to say. I have nothing to say. I agree, private company. You're not obligated to talk to me. But it's not about knowing your business inside your company that bothers me, you know. It is the impact it is having on the public convenience, the impact it is having on the facilitation of whatever that project means for the public, you know, for the country as a whole, and so on. We need to watch out for those things. There's a lot more that I can talk about. You know me and my Labour Party ways and the way I defend the Labour Party and this kind of thing, but I want to say this. We have to make sure that we are above board and beyond reproach in the things that we do. And we have to hold people accountable that they function in manners that are also above board and beyond reproach. If a project of a certain magnitude requires a division of roles, requires a separation and indeed a fragmentation or at least decentralization of power, we need to ensure that if someone is serving in the role of functionary and they're also gatekeeper, it means there has to be a higher level of oversight and scrutiny to prevent abuses for the convenience of those who have found or arrogated to themselves those roles. We need to look into certain things. Even if it is not our money that is at stake. But we have to tell ourselves there is an economic cost to delays. There is an economic cost to the public inconvenience, to the snallops, and all those things that are being caused. There is a cost to them. Traffic jams, the slow crawl of traffic where it's just not moving. You may not immediately be able to deduce, but there is a cost to them. They are costing businesses. Time is money. They are very costly to us more than we realize. I'll leave it at that for the time being and not subject my guest to any further delay. Let me introduce him. He is the Acting Director of Youth Development and Sports in the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports. He should have been here on Wednesday, but remember we had no program on Wednesday. Yesterday was a holiday. And so I want to thank him for his persistence in making himself available. Let me say good afternoon and welcome for the first time to The Real Issues, Mr. Clivers Jules. Nice to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here, although coming in, those issues, as you know what they say about the strongest soldiers, they get the hardest fights.
Yeah, yes.
So these little obstacles are just meant to make us stronger and make this program stronger. So thank you again for having me, and very happy to be here and to reach out to your
Absolutely.
viewers.
I cannot find a better person to pass on to the responsibility of commenting on the performance of Julian Alfred thus far, especially this morning. Someone said, make sure on the program today you talk about Julian Alfred and so on. I said, you're making it sound like, well, I'll leave that to you. But Julian Alfred has our hearts a little faster in anticipation, in excitement. Tell us about
definitely. Maybe Wednesday, it was divine that Wednesday's program did not happen, and that I came here today. I'm very excited this morning. I was up from about 4 a.m. I knew the race was going to be at 10 to 6, but I was up from about 4 a.m. just in anticipation of what Julian was going to bring. And this morning, she did bring it. I was so excited to see her. She looked very relaxed before the race, and even after the race, she did not. You could see that there was a lot left in the tank when she went over that line and ran a brilliant time, 10:95 in the 100 just to qualify for the semi-final. So Julian Alfred is looking very, very good. Of course, the women's 100 meters is taking shape as well and looking like the race to watch, and that is what we are going to do, and that's why I'm here at Shelton, to promote the watch parties that the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports would have organized for St. Lucians, because for me, we believe that we don't want people to be taking that moment in alone. This is something for all of St. Lucia to come together and rally your national colors and come out and watch, because you don't want, when we win that first Olympic medal, you do not wish to be alone at that time. It's more fun with company. So we have the watch parties. We have 5 of them on the island, around the island, venues around the island. There's in Viewfort Square, Soufrière Bus Terminal. We also have the Derek Walcott Square, Cicero, that at the constituency office in Cicero. That's where Julian is from as well. So they have a party going on down there. And we have the corner of Dauphin and Notre Dame Street in Gros-Islet. Right there at the site of the Gros-Islet Friday night, there will be a big watch party. And the difference with this one at Gros-Islet is that it continues for the rest of the Olympics, because Michael, who is a native of Gros-Islet, he's competing on Tuesday. And of course, that's where the action is going to be on Tuesday. But if you are unable to come to these watch parties, I encourage everybody, because I'd like to see all these venues jam-packed with St. Lucians in their national colors, carrying their national flag, just representing, coming out and engaging, having some fun as well. There will be some entertainment. We have DJ music. The warm-up happens from 1 o'clock. The semi-finals is at 10 to 2, 1:50, and the finals is at 3:20. So the warm-up starts at 1 o'clock with music and DJ and a couple of artists coming through. And then after the race, we will be celebrating. The cool down happens. Well, I suspect we won't be cooling down much, because once St. Lucia would have won their first Olympic medal, I'm sure we will be all excited.
Especially if it's gold.
especially if it's gold. But for me, I'll take any. At this point, I will take any. But I do believe we have a fantastic chance at getting our first Olympic medal tomorrow. And we are encouraging all St. Lucians, wear something blue. If you can't make it to the square, get your neighbor, get your posse, get somebody. Don't be alone tomorrow afternoon when this is happening. Down in the bars, like Falco's place, BH in Denry, you name it, just come out and just ensure that you have company when St. Lucia is getting that first goal, that first medal.
So as we go into the break, mention the venues for the watch parties again, okay?
Yes, definitely. We have the Viewfort Square. That's Independence Square in Viewfort on Clark Street. We have the Soufrière bus terminal at Old Trafford in Soufrière. We have the Cicero just next to the constituency office in Cicero. We have the Derek Walker Square where the big action is really going to be. That's in Castries. And then, of course, we have Grosley at the corner of Dauphin and Notre Dame Street. That is the same site, same area for the Grosley Friday night.
All right. Yeah. Big things are going.
Big things are going for this watch party. So we want all St. Lucians. Don't be alone when we win this first Olympic medal.
All right. Okay. This is the real issues. Let's take a break, and when we come back, anything more that Mr. Clivus wants to talk about, the acting director of youth development and sports, we're going to let him talk. This is sports season. This is a season where, we've had a lot of action. We've had the World Cup, T20, some matches held here in St. Lucia. As a part of it, most of us might want to forget, but we can look back at that. And of course, the recent misadventure in England. Yeah. But of course, local sports development is something that is on our minds a lot, I'm sure, and would like to see it go places and improve, and for us to become more competitive. It's entertaining to us. It has a lot to do with our sense of identity and our pride, national and regional and all of that. So always a lot to talk about. Of course, the phone lines, we're going to have them open for you in due time.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into and staying with the Real Issues on this Friday, the 2nd of August, 2024. I'm Shelton Daniel, your host and producer. In studio with me, the acting director of Youth Development and Sports, Clivus Jules. So, having talked about, the watch parties and all of that for the Olympics and the anticipation for Julian Alfred, etc., etc. Tell us about other programs that the ministry, your department and so on have for youth development and sports in St. Lucia as we speak.
Just before the break, Shelton, of course, I still want to thank you for having me as well. Just before the break, you mentioned that it's sports season. This year, from last year, St. Lucia has seen an increase in performances with our athletes across sporting disciplines. As a matter of fact, last year, we recorded the highest number of wins outside of St. Lucia in terms of the different disciplines. We surpassed the number that we had achieved in 1987 when St. Lucia had a golden year in sports. Last year, we had in excess of 11 teams going out and winning in different sporting disciplines. We won cricket, netball, football. We had a really fantastic year. And this year has started no different. That's because of the effort that the ministry has placed in terms of just developing programs, inclusion programs, just bringing the sports out to the various communities. The ministry has paid a lot of attention to the sporting infrastructure, and you would have seen the Darren Sammy Stadium during the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. It was deemed one of the best stadiums in terms of hosting the T20 World Cup, and the investment that was made in that. The ministry has made a lot of investment in terms of developing football and cricket grounds and netball around the island, and paying attention to keeping them up to standard. There's a playing field maintenance program that needs a little bit of tweaking, but of course it is there where men get paid to keep these fields well manicured and these grounds well ready for the young people. But of course there's also the Alternative Sports Program Initiative, which is a big thing at the ministry, because we realize and recognize that now there's a shift from the traditional sport.
Cricket and
People
and
are
soccer.
moving away from just the cricket and basketball and football into more computer games and different types of sports. So we brought in the alternative sports desk, and we have an alternative sports officer. So now we're looking at the esports. The guys are participating in competitions all over, sitting at their computers and laptops. We have the shooting competition, sport shooting. We have the game fishing, the drag racing, the motocross, and all of those non-traditional sports. A lot of attention is being paid to that, and we've now gotten regional and international acclaim in the drag racing. We have cars. We had the biggest drag racing of the Caribbean come this Independence Drag. Unfortunately, we're losing that space to the HIA airport redevelopment, but we're looking at alternatives for that. But there's a lot of emphasis placed on the different sports, and of course focusing on the differently able as well. We have in table tennis in particular, we had the special ed table tennis competition. So inclusion is a high on our agenda. Of course, we give support to the Paralympics, and we are focusing on giving the young people an option. They may not necessarily take it, because some of the issues that even when in your preamble, when you were speaking of the crime situation, how we lost a 13-year-old student of Beaufort Compre, we are giving the options to the young people. They may not necessarily take it, but we must know, and we're making the investment that you want to play football, there is the amenities and facilities for that. You're interested in cricket, there is that. The cycling is also being brought on. So we are really making a major investment in terms of sports programming, and to get our people involved in that. So that come next Olympics, we're not only looking to have just the 4 athletes we have, because this year we had 4 of them, the Luke Chevrier in the sailing, we had the Jayon Odlum Smith in the swimming, and the 2 track and field athletes in Julian Alfred and Michael Joseph. But the investment that we're making now, we're hoping that come the next Olympics, by the time we come to next Olympics, we are having more people qualifying and more young people knocking on the door of representing St. Lucia and doing so well.
Let me ask you this. When we talk about crime and the relationship and how sports can help to combat some of the social issues that lead to crime and so on. A lot of the crime we have now is gun crime. It's known for a long time our young men are fascinated with guns. We condemn them, but they were brought up on a staple diet of the hero action films and the country and western, and it was the gunman who brought about justice by a gun and executed people after giving them a speech about how the world can do without people like them. Shooting is an Olympic sport.
It is.
Have you ever heard any recommendations that we can get more sport shooting done in the country, expand the net of people, so that it will serve as an outlet where young men can vent their desire and their energy to have their hand on a trigger at a target, who competing in moving target, who competing in stationary target, and so on? Because I want to frame my question well to make sure you understand me. I find in our country there is a certain close-mindedness, that people come to think of certain things in a certain way, and if they see it that way, it's encouraging, all to be encouraging them with gun and this kind of thing. But yet we admire countries that have army, that are training young people how to be Marines and how to be
send people
snipers
to join,
to go and join them. But if we
armies
ever talk about doing it ourselves, is evil we're going to encourage in the country and this thing. Has there ever been any recommendation or suggestion, even just mooted, that we should probably move in the direction of encouraging more gun clubs and sport shooting and that sort of thing? Actually,
it's funny that you were able to come up with that. That's been the part of our discussion within the Alternative Sports Department. As a matter of fact, we have just received application for the formation of another shooting club here in St. Lucia. And we've had discussion with the existing shooting clubs to expand the network. But as anything, there are challenges and there are restrictions that would need to be in place.
Yes.
But
you have to control it, regulate it, license, all of that.
Has started in terms of growing and expanding. As a matter of fact, couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Olympic Committee, the St. Lucia Olympic Committee, gifted the St. Lucia Shooting Association $13,000 to invest in a couple of sports shooting guns. So there is a
because the gun is at the club. You come, you use it to shoot whatever division, rifle and pistol.
Correct.
And when you go, you have to leave it there.
You leave it right there.
You have professional people there who would be responsible for cleaning and so on to make sure your barrel doesn't get obstructed and this kind of thing in this professional way. But at least somebody goes inside that they pay. I remember sometime not too long ago, in the last 2 years since I came back, I think there was a proposal to set up some gun range or something somewhere in the Barata Babono area, and there was kind of outcry against it.
There was,
like, oh my goodness, is evil and this and that. And I'm saying, but the gun's still coming here. We still have them. We can't track them. At least we would be able to track by registration and ballistics imprints and everything that we have on file, where that gun is, where it is, the chain of custody of a gun. Right now, it's coming on the boats, it's coming on the pirogues and
the barrels as well.
You know what I mean? You know.
But it's been the center of discussion for us, and it's something that we really wish to open up the shooting fraternity. And of course, to the responsible shooting, because there's a certain discipline about owning a licensed gun and a responsibility that goes with it. So you find most licensed firearm holders are very responsible for that. I have a friend of mine who we always tease him and say he puts on his firearm before he puts on his underwear. So there's a certain responsibility and discipline that goes with having a licensed firearm, and it's probably something that we should take a little bit more seriously, because that energy that these young people have, it's something that probably can be channeled.
And maybe if you have more spot shooting, there'll be less shooting at each other and so on. Because there's a dissipation, you understand, of the, maybe not,
Maybe
but
not.
I'm just saying, I mean, having the restrictions, everything, and every time you bombarding them, if not with a Rambo, is if a Jason's, what's his name, Statham or whatever, and this person, you showing them the live action heroes, and it's all a gun and so on. I mean, give the fellas, we don't have a military here to say, okay, they can be conscripted into it for whether it's 6 months or whatever when they turn 18, so they know how to handle a rifle, they know in a responsible way, with the indoctrination that comes that you are doing it for the defense and protection of your country. We try to shoot down. It's just the same with the driving. I have said, if we had investors who can invest in both the drag racing and in Formula One type, racetracks and so on, that our people can go and drive and sometimes be pitted against some international fellas, because we always say how we can drive good. St. Lucian always tell you men that they're the best drivers in the world. So let us see in these conditions, if you can drive, what is the insurance that we can have, so that they can go and provide an outlet for energies that can otherwise be very harmfully and destructively channeled.
But you see them on the road. You see the drivers on the road. The actual race car drivers that we have down here have learned the responsibility of driving, and you would hardly, if ever, find one of those guys on the road speeding. But it's those other guys who would have gotten those sports cars and feel they could just, if we
that
have
they are Vin Diesel and they are Paul Walker and they are, what's his name again, Tyrese,
Fast and Furious on our road. So I do agree that once we can make the opportunities available, and that's why we speak of opportunities, and that's why at the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports we spend a lot of time planning and preparing for those programs and try to engage our young people in as many sporting discipline as possible. It's challenging, of course, because the resources are limited, and some of those sports are taking a heavy beating on the ministry's coffers, but we try to extend as far as we can.
What about sports as a generator of revenue? I mean, is it that we don't have the population and hence the market for people to show up and to support those things and to want to pay for them and for them to become plugged into our tourism product as well, so that our visitors can come and want to watch those things and want to pay money for it and so on, whether our racing, whether our all these kind of things, the traditional, like you say, cricket and so on, there's so much of it taking place everywhere. But do we have that kind of sports love, that kind of sports enthusiasm in our country that can drive us investing and pursuing those things?
I think we actually do. The corporate community, to my mind, they're not on board as we would have liked. but sports definitely can be a major income generator. When we saw it with the men's T20 World Cup, and we see it every year when the CPL comes by, how much of a bit of economic activity that this generates. So there is really the avenue for that. And now we also have the semi-pro football league that has also started. So sports can really generate economic activity and bring people. Although our population size is small, but with the right marketing, we can yield the rewards from that. And of course, we would need the support of corporate St. Lucia and further afield. All
right. Folks, let's open the phone lines. Anything that you want to ask, it doesn't necessarily have to do with what Mr. Jules is talking about, although it would be nice if we can discuss our whole sports fabric, where we are. Are we really showing improvement? Are we really showing? Well, we have somebody at the Olympics who were hoping, banking, thinking, wishing, believing that they'll bring home our first medal to us. So that would be a step into the future in a big way. Greater representation of St. Lucians on the West Indies cricket team. We seem to have been, getting there at one point, and then, there's like we're not so much there and so on, while we see the Dominicans coming and making their name and thus. And I understand it's multi-island, difficult to pick 11 people for it, but St. Lucia has becoming a sporting center and indeed a regional sporting power of some significance. I think this is something we all have a desire to see. But we have our first caller. Good afternoon. Real Issues, you're on. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon, son. How do you do?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Man, it's heartbreaking. I can't even imagine somebody who has a problem with somebody's sibling walk into somebody's family's house and shoot a 13-year-old. His birthday would have been yesterday, turned 13 yesterday. Man, what have that child done to deserve that?
Yeah. So many questions, and sometimes it's just witness elimination. You see the person who came in, whatever. They don't want you to talk, and sometimes it's just basically to hurt somebody's feelings. I have said a lot of those crimes, to me, they have the character of some form of terrorism. I'm going to make you terrified that if I can do that, you better stay in hiding, you better keep your head down, you better do that, because I have no mercy for your dog, for your child, for anything. I think sometimes there's a little terrorist intent to it, but go ahead.
Well, Shelton, se police ni kwa ba dormi you hani kata di da sakla.
All right.
Se ti pou la ki fè ça, yo ala di na tout radio de bensan. Yo ala da kay ki ka bill, et tout had la ki de bensan yo ki te la.
Okay.
Amun hawe had la yo hakuye police hani kat.
Police hani kat moun
Kat moun.
Okay.
Kat moun adi de bagay sa la.
Okay.
You hani yo miko. Moi beaucoup ça. Moi pas ça qui ka passe tête qui boy là. Si c'est la Jésus voulait faire aller Irak. Ou pas ça dit yo aller, c'est mon ça la passe à la pièce gun range. Yo ça shoot. Et c'est pour ça la pas aller à ça quoi dit là. Ça qui veut bon attention kay aller. C'est mon qui voulait faire la mais yo kay aller gun range. Ko a quel range yo aller yo ka tirer mon mettre yo à terre. On a drive by yo ka tuer. I have one thing to say. The penalty is too lenient. We need to change these things. Once you are involved in that, they get you with a gun, you commit a crime, nous ka mette au bodli kon diwi ana gwendi ana sak. E ko passa bay se moment job halas di sa. You cannot bail these guys. You can't. Because law bail Sheldon. Pourquoi monsieur kay ale do e rester sans physique Sheldon, laissant ça ka dormi a jouer bi. Et qui m'a défendre quoi? Il vous ça. Il s'est resté sans hard, mais il va se rester sans physique. Ça c'est toi il qui là. People, Stop enabling these people. We have lots of people who are aware of who they are. Avec l'année ben maman c'est ici qui surtout ouais. Là où couillé, écoutez. Vous savez, ti ba yo à 25. Moi ouais ka avec des trois boug et c'est boug ça sans gang yo. Ah! Maman là il est kay maman. Quel monde dit moi ça? Des matin là yo y a regarder un coup de zier. Collègue li, camarade ka ba ou zier. Yo ka veiller pour quoi il va gel ou anything. Là il fait gel ou Jerry.
Gati wo an jouer.
Oui, parce que Heidi maman moi gang. Là il fait gel ou Jerry. C'est maman ça là le monde vêti zot pour zot. Zot c'est maman, ay parler ba zot ko maman ka parler ba et pas mettre la vie les autres moun en danger. Moi même ka di ba ou plutôt pour vous procurer moins désagréments, qu'a dit moins dit ou espérer la police défoncer la porte ou papier qui joue, ça c'est problème ou pourquoi? Have a good weekend, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks. Have a good weekend yourself. All right, 487-9849, that is the mobile number on which you can WhatsApp call us, and 4533911, the landline. My guest in the studio, the acting director of Youth and Sports, Clivers Jules, but we have another caller on the line. Hello.
Good afternoon, Shelton.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon to you, my brother.
Hey, Miguel. Good afternoon, sir.
Boy, Maria gave a long TED talk there, man. Let me tell you, it's just a few things. You know, I want to send my condolences out to the family of the 13-year-old who just lost his life due to, of course, another, I can't even say unfortunate because that's too benign a word. But, you know, but another situation of violence and gun violence. And you made a statement earlier, Shelton, and I don't think, I've been saying it over the years in a lot of my reports where violence was concerned, but I don't think it's impacting us, our people, and the young people the way that it should, by saying that the majority of our victims and perpetrators of violent crime are young males.
Yes.
And that was actually in the last CMO's report I remember reading, it was 2015 or so, 14-15. And that was one of the highlights in that as well. Well, lowlights for her, you know, in that as well, in that violence seems to have been pervasive among our youth, our male, and a lot of the reports, the medical report is young men coming in for wound, they're either coming on near death or they're seriously wounded due to violence. This is something that we definitely need to address. We keep saying it that we need to address it, but I will continue to say that the police can only do something in the short term in terms of solving and detecting the crime, but then reducing the crime rate at that type of crime. You know, it's a long-term process, and it starts at the grassroots of levels at home.
Quite true.
You know, one funny thing I wonder when I hear mothers talking about their sons after they've been killed, saying that, you know, he was a good boy. He was a good boy at home, and everybody else knew he was a menace. Now it's almost as if the parenting, the method of parenting is reversed, because my father once told me at A-level, I don't know how everybody I meet out there tell me he's such a nice, respectful boy, but when he told me so miserable, and I believe that's how it's supposed to be. Your parents train you for the world out there. You know, you could be who you are at home, be miserable or whatever, but then you know when you go out there, it's respect for everybody, respect people's lives and their property. Now, the final thing I wanted to ask Mr. Jules is as it relates to the Sports Academy, one of the peeves of mine. Since its establishment, there's been a long-standing view that the children who were sent there, particularly in the early stages, were children who were not the best models of behavior at school, and they were not doing well academically, and I use that term loosely as I hate to say academically inclined, but they were not the best at the academics, so they were sent there because there's a natural view, you're not good at academics, you're proficient in sports. Does that view still hold for the Sports Academy?
Not to my knowledge, sir. Although the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports is not directly involved in the recruitment at the Sports Academy, it's left to the purview of the Ministry of Education. But I am aware of the the improvements in recruitment at the facility. When it was just opened, the focus was more on getting the outstanding athletes coming into the program. But now there's a little bit more due care and attention paid to the recruitment. And they go out to the secondary schools, and you have to attain a certain level along with the academic, the sporting prowess. So the recruitment is revamped for sure. So in time, I'm sure we will see enhanced students at the sports academy. But I'm thinking that in fact, I'm aware that they have made improvements to the recruitment program.
Okay, and finally, has the synergy between education and sports improved?
We are still, it's a work in progress. We continue conversation with the Ministry of Education almost daily because, a lot of our programs are run within the school system, and it's something that you have to work to achieve. It's always going to be a work in progress. But the important thing is the communication is always wide open, and I think even at a ministerial level, our minister, Honorable Kenson Kazimi, as well as Honorable Edward, they pretty closely linked in terms of discussions with the two ministries. And we continue to engage Ministry of Education and try to have a seamless school sports program.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good afternoon, and to your viewers and listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Now, we'll take a break because this is around time where the lotto will come on anyway. So let's take the break. What's that? Oh, somebody's on the line. Okay, well, hi, caller, good afternoon. Caller, we'll come back to you because the lotto is coming on, as you know, it comes on live. Okay, so we'll be back shortly.
2024 World Double Daily Grand 12815 Big 4 0665. The Big 4 Multi-X Bold Run is 2X. Pick 208. The Pick 2 Multi-X Bold Run is FE. 1 off 554. Lucky 3 146. The Lucky 3 Multi-X Bold Run is 3X.
Now,
this is The Real Issues, and our guest in studio, the Acting Director of Youth Development and Sports, Mr. Clivers Jules. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, the Honorable
Hey,
Shelton Daniel.
What's up, Reverend Deacon?
Good afternoon, Mr. Jules.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, Shelton, I'm calling you on two sets of emotions there. One is that my flag is already flying so high, my shirt is ready for tomorrow. And I told my children, let me tell you all something. I know you all are born Americans, but of St. Lucian parentage. But tomorrow I run things in the house, so it's going to be all St. Lucian tomorrow. I don't care where you all born where, but tomorrow is going to be all St. Lucian. Only one flag that is flying here tomorrow, the St. Lucian flag.
In other words, you want them to put away the Americanness for tomorrow. Pack away
for
everything.
Tomorrow.
Because about Rico lawsuit because of anyway, go ahead.
Yes. So on that front, Shelton, balance is I can get me tell my emotional poems. You say we Shelton must SP encore. My very pass SP because must have goal like I come home. He can come home. But anyway, Shelton, on the other part, let book Miguel Kuye, Shelton. Can't wait for me continue because boy, the intelligence that come out of Miguel, it's hard to follow. But I need to ask a question, Shelton. Shelton, why don't the police address? I mean, I know they can't do it to every bit of crime, every piece of crime that has happened somewhere. But in circumstances like you mentioned, the 2-year-old, that 14-year-old, how come the police don't come out with a press conference and, gather at that scene of that crime and let the criminals know, hey, I think you all have gone a point too far. I mean, every point is too far, but look, we are here and we are going to prevent this thing from happening. We are going to give some assurance to the community that we are going to protect you. And maybe that one that has happened there was just a slip up on that. Come out, say something. The district representative, give the community an assurance. I know they can't be everywhere, and I know they will not be able to do it for every. But I don't know. To be honest with you, Sheldon, I love law enforcement. I love it. I have no problem with law enforcement. And regardless of what people talk about police, whether it's here, there, or anywhere else, I love law enforcement. But sometimes I feel there is a little too much laid back.
Other caller, just stay on the line. Hold on, just a minute for us, please, if you can. Go ahead, Bernard.
Yeah. So I don't know. With a situation like that, the police in the community, the one responsible for the station or the precinct or whatever way it's been called, the commissioner or the assistant, somebody come out, have a press conference, show the backing of the police behind you, and speak to the community. Let the criminals know forcefully that this is not going to continue. I never heard that. The other thing I want to say, Shelton, I have never heard there is. I know that there is once a couple times they have put out the missive that look, we have gotten back certain firearms, ammunitions. We have captured 3, we have captured 4. But I never heard the police say, you know what, we have gone on that raid and we have netted 14 individuals in a gun ring.
Yeah. Something else. We have another call on the line, but Bernard, I've been saying it for a long time. The police briefings need to have a reassuring effect on the public, and they also need to enlighten the public. Look, folks, we are aware that people are very concerned and worried and in fear over this home invasion, and maybe now you will be fearing for your children inside your own home. However, our intelligence indicates that this was targeted, whatever. So people, the fear of crime can be as bad as crime itself. So people cannot feel that, oh my goodness me, this person look at my child, or my child told me he passed on the road and there was an exchange between him, so that person may be targeting him. So before the person can get you woman bo because of Pavle Munchwe issue, you can have a kind of panic so people can know, look, this isn't a random shooting, this is whatever, because otherwise people are afraid. They might believe somebody might just, for some reason they don't know, just target them. I just find the briefings need to share without calling names, without compromising, to tell people this is what I just find it is lacking. The other thing too, I don't think we are paying enough attention to the revenge factor. When somebody kills your child like that, like a 2-year-old in Vieux-Fort, a 13-year-old in Blanchard, inside their own home, you have to take preemptive measures, because that child has family, that child has uncle, has parent, has people who are gun people or may have access. And like I say, somebody killed my 2-year-old or my 13-year-old in my own home. You understand?
Exactly.
And you never know. You have to begin to take preemptive debriefings and counseling for people.
Continue.
Exactly. And counseling for people that may be moved after they cry, after they do everything. You can actually keep to avenge this kind of thing.
The other thing, Shelton, quickly, I know you have another caller, but quickly, look, all right, people saying, I don't agree with you that you must not bail people. I'm not going to agree with that, because people have a right. I do not know the laws here and how they were instituted and whatnot. But Shelton, I might say, okay, let's increase the bill. Some people might still meet it. But can we not track those persons when we bail them? Put up a tracking device on them so we know their movement.
Yeah. Anyway,
Bernard, people thinking we out there, and we don't have ideas, we don't have brains, and I probably think that's how they do. But anyway, have a good afternoon, Shelton. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Hi, next caller. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting so long, but you're on the air now.
That's not a problem. Shelton, do you remember the words, "We declaring war on anyone who takes us for papi show"?
I cannot remember who said that.
The former Prime Minister.
Oh, he said so many things. I can't remember everything he said.
He said that. And so when we find now, people are becoming more emboldened to act on what they believe. Or is the truth, So if you believe somebody taking you for a papi show, you declare war on them. But Shelton, it is heart-rending, heart-wrenching, hurtful, and all those other sad adjectives, all right, that somebody shoots a 13-year-old in his home. And not just any regular 13-year-old. He was the eyes, the strength, the arm of his father, who is blind. Shelton, the man don't die of illness, you know. The man was killed, okay? He was the one to guide his father, okay? So when you tell me you have perpetrated that heinous act on a child, don't you think you're going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Don't you think God is going to avenge the death of that young boy? And I pray that that young man was not involved in anything. And don't come and tell me mistaken identity. Shelton had a blind mother, and it was my children most of the time who were her eyes and her support. So that hit me a lot. It hit me bigly. I can feel it. I cannot begin to imagine what the family is experiencing at this moment. And all of those nice things being said about that young boy now. You understand? And then you hear some of those mothers, right? Okay? When that child, the ones in gangs, the ones you hear the police, known by the police, he was a good boy, you know? Shelton, we can't continue to go so. We need solutions.
Yeah.
We need solutions, and we have politicians in this country who don't mind their words. Okay? They don't mind their words. And I mean, you can say anything, but when your words match your emotions, you've got to be angry. Shelton, that's not good for us. I want to bid you, Shelton, a wonderful afternoon, a great weekend. Good afternoon, Mr. Jules. Enjoy our Olympic medal, first medal, the Messi Jeffley.
All right. Thank you
you
very much. You know, I just want to say, if what Maria Bonaparte, who I think was our first caller, said about the bloody clothes and all of that, the first thing that came to my mind, that those shooters, if it's them, they're not professionals, okay? They're probably guys who had an idea to go and do something, and being not professionals, it could be that they enter the house and the first person that moved in front of them, that stood them, they discharge. You know what I'm saying? They realize it's the wrong person. Why would they have blood all over them? Man, a professional, you know, gunman and so on, he tries his best not to have things like blood spatter and tissue and all of that on him. Now, I don't know if we have this level of professionals, but to shoot and for them clothes to become bloody like that, it means that even after they shot the person, maybe they realize what they've done. Maybe they panic, maybe were overcome by some compassion to try to revive when they realize the little boy, you understand? Because why else would they get blood? The gunman tries not to get this kind of incriminating things on him, you know. Maybe then, you know, they try to say, oh my goodness, what have we done? We hit the wrong person, you know, they make them jump, whatever. So maybe they try to revive him, they try to shake him, they can't believe what they done, and they get all that blood on them. So if they catch them, it's probably because they're not among those who, you know, I mean, they are the professional hitmen and so on. The guys who shot this fella up at Kako by that daycare and so on, by all indications, they made sure they kept some distance between themselves and him, you know, so that, you know, whatever is splurting out of him don't come. And I'm not saying they were probably thinking of that, but if people go and several of them come and they have blood all over their bodies, it's probably, you know, not, you know, the real professional cold-blooded killer that's there as yet. I don't really know. I'm just thinking from my head and so on. But folks, we got to think about those things, you know, because there may be people who know things and they're not reporting it because they have plans to take out people, you know. They're thinking of revenge. So why go to the police when I'm already talking to people about, you know, who did that and to take them out? So sometimes that's one of the reasons. There's the fear factor, of course. People are afraid to talk because you might end up getting wiped out because somebody don't want you to go and finger them and to identify them. But there's a chain reaction to those things that is going around. And unless we can start to disrupt at least some of the chains, unless we can start to interdict at least some of the people, you're going to get all of them. All I'm saying, in the little areas where you can nab them and you can get them, it might open up doors to things. You catch a man on something and he knows he's facing You lean on him, he might end up giving up somebody else, and then you might go. Because if it's a gang thing, sometimes it goes across an entire network. I don't really know. The police know best what to do. But now for us to reach almost 50 already for the year. We just start August. I'm in a dread, as we can see. Real dread. We're still taking your calls, folks. I know we've gone a little in extra time, but 487-9849, the number that you can dial. It's our last program for the week. We had none yesterday. So if you still something you want to talk about, 487-9849. Or you can call us on 4533-911. Barring that, I'm going to let Mr. Clivers Jules, the Acting Director of Youth Development and Sports, say some words in parting. Yes.
Yes, again, I want to say a big thank you for the opportunity. Of course, the listeners, just to remind people that we are celebrating. We're in celebratory mood. We don't know for a fact, but we hope that tomorrow will be our very first Olympic medal. We are following the Olympic Games. We have 4 of our athletes out there. Jan Odlum Smith would have competed earlier in the week. He's completed now. He didn't make it through to the next round, but he set a national record as well. We have Luc Chevrier. He started out yesterday and he'll be sailing throughout the week. He's participating in the sailing. Julian Alfred, she started this morning with a nice, easy, relaxed run in the first round, and she's into the semi-finals as well. And tomorrow, we have watch parties around the island, 5 venues to be exact. We have the Viewfort Square, Independence Square. We have the Soufriere Bus Terminal at Old Trafford. The Derek Walker Square in Castries, Cicero in the Constituency Council's office, and the corner of Dauphin and Notre Dame Street in Grosley. The Grosley watch party continues beyond just tomorrow. It goes on until Michael Joseph would have competed next week, Tuesday. That's that. We're encouraging all St. Lucians to come out and support our Olympic team. Come out in your national colors. Come out with your flags, and I'm happy that Bernard Haynes said his flag is already out there. So come out with your flags, your national colors, your caps, your bottles. You come out and support. Entertainment will be provided for you as well. I'm sure there will be some of the sagaciating liquids available for purchase. So definitely that will be. So we're coming out to have a nice vibe, a nice lime. I just want to encourage, if you cannot make it to those venues, you can link up within your communities. Get your friends, get your bar, you go to your bar,
your domino table.
Ensure that you are with people. Wear your national colors. Tomorrow is going to be a national colors day. We're supporting Julian Alfred and of course our Olympic team over in Paris this year. So thank you for the opportunity, Shelton. I would like to say thank you to your listeners and those who contributed to the program as well. Indeed, I'm happy that we're going into tomorrow. I'm beginning to feel it again. Thank you so much.
Okay, always welcome. That's the real issues for today and for the week. Once again, everyone, stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and indeed your weekend to the maximum, but also to the optimum, and that is safety, survival, so that you can continue next week as we hope to do for another cycle of the real issues from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on Real FM Radio, MBC Television, Facebook and YouTube Live. Shelton Daniel on behalf of our technical operator Jaquan signing out.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is